Universities are, well, they're incredible hubs of innovation, aren't they? Just buzzing with research, really pushing boundaries.
Absolutely. But, there's often that gap, that big jump from a discovery in the lab to something you can actually use in the real world.
Yeah, getting it out there into industry, solving a real problem. It's a challenge.
It really is. And bridging that gap, well, it means universities and companies need to team up. They need a sort of structured way to even start talking.
And that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're looking at a really key tool here, the letter of intent, the LOI, specifically the one coming from an industry partner to a university.
Right. And we've got some great sources to help us unpack this. There's an article explaining the basics, a sample request form a uni might use, and some really interesting hypothetical examples.
Yeah, those examples show just how differently companies can approach these partnerships.
They really do. So the idea behind this deep dive isn't just to, define an LOI. We want you to understand why this piece of paper, this initial step, is so, so important.
What goes into it, what it signals.
Exactly. And how it helps map out the possibilities and maybe the potential roadblocks, too, right from the start. We'll see that diversity through the examples.
So for you listening, whether you're maybe in a university lab or working in industry, or honestly just curious about how innovation happens, this is about the nuts and bolts, how these crucial partnerships actually get started.
It's about the practical mechanics, the details you need to iron out up front, and just how varied these things can be.
Okay, so this LOI, it's like the company saying, hey, we're serious. We think there's something here. Let's explore working together. Is that the gist?
That's a good way to put it. It's a formal signal of genuine interest. We see potential here, maybe in research development, maybe even getting something to market together.
But hang on, the sources are clear. It's not legally binding, right? It's preliminary.
Correct. Non-binding is key.
So if it's non-binding, why bother? Why is this formal but not really formal step so powerful?
That's the crucial question. Even though it's non-binding, it does several really vital things. It lays the groundwork.
Okay, like what?
Well, first off, clarity. It forces both sides to actually articulate what they want to achieve. Outline the objectives, the scope.
Get specific.
Exactly. Get specific early on. That shared understanding from the beginning can prevent a lot of headaches later.
Right. Avoids talking past each other. And I guess that helps build some trust, too, if a company writes this up.
Precisely. It shows they've put thought into it, maybe even allocated some initial thinking time or resources. It signals commitment. That builds trust. Yeah. Universities need that assurance.
Yeah, you need to know they're not just window shopping. And does it help the university figure out if they could even handle the project? Resources-wise.
Oh, absolutely. Big time. Developing new tech takes money, people, labs, equipment, you name it. The LOI gives the university a first glimpse into what the company might bring to the table or what they expect the university to bring.
So you can start planning realistically. Budgets, staffing.
All of that. Much more informed planning.
Okay, this is interesting too. The sources say having an LOI can actually help the university get other funding, like grants.
Yes, and that's a really critical point. Think about it. Why would, say, a government funding agency care about this letter?
Because it shows someone in industry thinks this research has legs, practical potential.
Exactly. It validates the project. It says, look, this isn't just academic theory. There's real-world interest here, maybe even a market. That makes it way more attractive to grant bodies, VCs, other investors looking for impact.
Okay, so it's like a stamp of approval from the real world that unlocks other doors. That makes sense. What about the cultural differences? Academia and industry sometimes speak different languages.
They definitely can. Pure research focus versus market deadlines and bottom lines.
Does the LOI help bridge that?
It's designed to.
Yeah.
By getting proposed roles, responsibilities, shared goals down on paper, even preliminarily, it helps align things. It guides the university's research effort towards solving an actual industry need.
So steering the science towards application, which should, in theory, make the whole tech transfer process smoother later on, getting patents, licenses, actually launching something.
That's the idea. It encourages thinking about a roadmap, milestones, timelines right from the start. It helps avoid some of the classic delays and confusion that can really bog things down.
Speeds things up a bit.
Hopefully, yes. Accelerates that translation from lab to market.
And does this early structure actually help the innovation itself?
I think so. It encourages a more focused collaboration. Industry brings practical problems, market knowledge. Academics bring the deep science. When you fuse those effectively, guided by the LOIs framework, you often get better, more impactful tech.
Right, the synergy effect.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the big one. The sources really hammer this home. Intellectual property, thus, the
Right.
IP. The LOI gets that conversation started early.
Which is absolutely crucial, figuring out who owns what, how licenses work, how benefits are shared. That can get really thorny.
Yeah, I can imagine. So we're talking patents, copyright for software, maybe designs.
All of that, plus know-how data. The LOI doesn't finalize the IP agreement, not usually, but it forces both sides to state their initial thinking, their preferred approach to IP.
So you know if you're even in the same ballpark before you invest too much time.
Exactly. It flags it as a critical discussion point and sets expectations. Helps avoid major blow-ups later on.
Wow. Okay, so clarity, trust, resource assessment, attracting funding, aligning goals, streamlining transfer, boosting innovation, and starting the IP talk. That's a lot for a non-binding letter.
It packs a punch. And it's not always just companies initiating. Universities can be proactive too, right? Using alumni networks, industry events.
Good point. They can actively seek out partners and maybe prompt an LOI conversation if they see a good fit.
Absolutely. Finding those industry challenges where their research could offer a real solution.
Okay, let's get into the structure then. The sources mention a kind of template universities might use to request an LOI. What's in that?
Typically, it's a formal-ish letter. It says, we're interested in collaborating in X field. Makes it clear the LOI itself is non-binding, but serves as a starting point for discussion.
And it usually comes with a questionnaire to get the company thinking.
Yes, a detailed questionnaire.
Yeah.
That's really the core of the request. It's designed to get the company to articulate specifics.
What kind of specifics?
Well, it starts broad company info, but then quickly drills down. What are your primary research interests? What specific technical or business problems are you facing now?
So define the pain point.
Define the pain point they think university research can solve. Are they looking to improve something existing, explore something totally new?
What else?
Then it asks about the type of collaboration. Is this basic science, applied research, direct product development? And critically, what's their expected level of involvement? What are they willing to commit?
Ah, okay. Like funding, technical help, access to their data or facility.
Exactly, all that. Plus expected timelines, key milestones they envision.
Covers the what and the how. And the money question. Resources.
Yep, straight up. Are you willing to co-fund? Seek grants together, maybe even invest in some university infrastructure if the project needs it. And what specific resources, people, gear, data can you realistically contribute?
No beating around the bush there. And IP. Does the questionnaire tackle that head on too?
It does. It asks about their typical approach, interested in licensing existing unitech, thinking about joint patents,
Yeah.
co-ownership.
So again, getting those potential IP models out on the table super early.
Before any heavy negotiation starts. Then usually some wrap-up stuff like confidentiality thoughts, initial legal points, maybe an open-ended section for anything else.
It sounds incredibly thorough. Like
Wow.
it forces the company to really crystallize what they want and what they'll offer.
It provides that essential structure. It takes you from a vague idea of let's work together to defining goals, contributions, and those key sticking points like IP before deep dives into legal agreements or committing major resources.
Right. Okay, so that's the framework. The LOI request, the questionnaire. But like you said, the examples are where it really clicks.
Yeah, these hypotheticals are great. They cover such a range: packaging machines, AI and medicine, hybrid engines, batteries, stem cells, even educational apps.
It shows the sheer breadth of problems universities can help tackle.
Absolutely. But also, crucially, the different ways companies approach it, especially around resources, money, and that big one, IP. There's no single template for partnership.
Let's pick a couple. That
Yeah.
packaging machine one company needs a cheaper alternative to imports.
Right. Classic cost reduction problem. They need a local machine, maybe 50% cheaper. They see the uni's expertise in mechanical engineering, automation.
And they're specific about their input.
Very. They mentioned potential funding, maybe 20-50 lakhs INR, using the Indian context from the source examples, plus technical help, access to their factory, production data, and a clear timeline. Prototype in a year, commercialize in 2. Very practical engineering focus.
Okay. Then there's the fuel-efficient hybrid engine for motorbikes. Different driver there.
Totally. Let's call them hypothetical green tech motors. For them, it's about sustainability, maybe meeting new regulations. They want a hybrid engine that's, say, 3 times more efficient.
Bigger budget, maybe.
Seems likely, maybe 50-75 lakhs INR. And their IT idea is interesting. Uni owns the core IP, but Green Tech wants an exclusive license to sell it, fees and royalties negotiated later.
So exclusive license, that's one model.
Mm.
What about the AI cancer detection example? How did they approach IP?
Hypothetical radiant health. They want AI to read x-rays better, faster cancer detection, budget maybe 30-50 lakhs, but they offer crucial resources, massive image data sets, clinical access for testing stuff the uni might not have.
And the IP.
Their proposal is co-ownership. University and company jointly own the AI algorithm. How they split the commercial benefits royalties, revenue that gets negotiated. It's more of a shared risk, shared reward model.
Co-ownership.
Yeah.
That feels like a potentially deeper partnership. Okay, what about the lithium-ion battery for hot climates? That sounds niche, but important.
Right, hypothetical energy innovators. Their problem is environmental heat and humidity degrading current batteries. Budget's way higher here, maybe 1 to 1.5 crore INR, reflecting R&D costs in materials science.
And their IP angle?
Yeah.
Different again?
Yep. They propose to buy the IP outright, an assignment. Once patents are filed, they pay a lump sum, take ownership. They want full control to integrate it.
Wow, okay, so we've seen exclusive license, co-ownership, outright purchase, just in a few examples. What about something like pharmaceuticals? That's a whole different beast development-wise.
Good one. The migraine drug example shows that perfectly. The challenge isn't just improvement, it's finding a cure, long-term relief. Budget, massive. Maybe 2 to 5 crore INR, easily. Reflects the huge cost and risk.
And timeline must be longer, too.
Much longer. Maybe 3 years just to get a lead compound, then potentially another 3 years minimum for clinical trials and regulatory hurdles. And the IP reflects that risk.
How so?
They propose a milestone-based license. The company licenses the IP, but payments, royalties, fees only get triggered when specific hurdles are cleared. Passing phase 1 trials, phase 2, getting market approval.
Ah, so the value paid links directly to de-risking and progress. Makes sense for pharma.
Exactly. And we saw other examples too, right? AI, video lectures for EdTech, software for designing drone ambulances.
Yeah, showing even more variety. The EdTech one mentioned copyright licensing for content, while the drone software might involve licensing industrial designs or the software itself, maybe royalties based on ambulance sales.
It just keeps broadening the scope.
Okay, stepping back. Across all these hypotheticals, manufacturing, transport, health, energy, pharma, education, aerospace, it's incredible. Different problems, different money commitments, different timelines.
And critically, wildly different approaches to IP ownership and commercialization proposed right there in the initial LOI thinking. Exclusive licenses, co-owning, buying it outright, milestone payments.
It really drives home why that structured process, the LOI request, the questionnaire, is so valuable. The tool is standard, but the details it pulls out show how unique every single partnership has to be.
Totally. The specifics depend so much on the industry, the problem, the money needed, the company's business model, their IP strategy. This process helps get those crucial differences on the table early.
Yeah, it really makes the case that this isn't just red tape. It's essential groundwork, forcing clear thinking from both sides right at the outset.
Precisely. It's just the conversation from vague ideas to concrete needs, resources, timelines, and that initial thinking on IP allows much smarter decisions about whether to even proceed and on what basic terms.
So this deep dive really underlined how these preliminary docs, these LOIs, are, well, fundamental for university industry links.
They really are the bedrock for translating research, managing expectations, lining up resources, and starting that crucial IP discussion from the get-go.
They bring clarity, build trust,
Yeah.
help navigate that tricky path from lab bench to marketplace.
And signal the level of seriousness needed to actually make it happen.
And seeing that amazing range in the examples, different industries, different scales, different funding levels, and especially those varied IP models, it just hammers home how custom fit each partnership needs to be, starting right here.
Absolutely. That structured request, the questionnaire, it's all designed to facilitate uncovering those unique, vital details early on. That's the key to designing something that works for everyone.
So thinking about this for you, our listener, we've seen how these letters of intent, while technically non-binding, really set the crucial stage for deep collaboration between universities and industry.
Yeah, they bring clarity, build trust, help plan resources, make projects more attractive for other funding, align goals, smooth out tech transfer, spur innovation, and kickstart that vital IP conversation.
And the sheer variety we saw, packaging machines, hybrid engines, AI diagnostics, climate-proof batteries, migraine cures, EdTech content, drone software. It shows the vast potential. And within that, the different ways companies handle resources, and especially IP, shows just how tailored this initial step needs to be.
That structured approach, the LOI and questionnaire, it really empowers both sides to get specific about goals, contributions, and IP right from the beginning. It sets a clear course.
So we've really unpacked the practical side of how these vital partnerships get started. Now, thinking about all that diversity, the range of challenges and solutions we touched on, what kinds of new, maybe unexpected collaborations could realistically happen between universities and industries in your own field? And what kind of innovative IP models might be needed to actually make that groundbreaking work fly?